It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, superheroes, and central air conditioning. So let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're sending wishes to Mike to get his air conditioner fixed. But other than that, we're also breaking down Secret Invasion. That was on Disney+. The entire season has now premiered. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Sony delayed their entire Spider-Man universe movies. All of them delayed. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know if you knew this or not, but caught me off guard this morning. We'll talk about what that means for everybody else. The Scarlet Witch could get her own special presentation, which we've touched on before, but we have a little more details on this.
Oh, okay.
And more.
Yeah. Long story short, Southern California is a sweltering cesspool, and the air conditioner in our place broke at the most inopportune time, just like all air
They
air
never break at a good time.
Yeah. Exactly. So we've been waiting to get this thing fixed. And if you are unfamiliar with how to make a podcast, usually the best thing to do is lock yourself in a room, hermetically seal it for the best sound, which means by the end of this podcast, my body heat is going to be cooking myself like an oven. So there is a fun game we get to play, though, Chris, which might be fun. Is I have this awesome laser infrared temperature gun, which I literally forgot until 20 seconds ago was right next to me on top of this dresser here. So throughout the episode.
Okay, we're gonna put it in the show note. Temperature at start. What's the temperature?
I would say let's say 84. Let's say 84
degrees.
Yeah, I'm pointing it at the same point on the wall, so that'll be our control. All right. So we'll check in throughout. Okay. We'll let you know how hot it gets.
Yeah. So what we'll do, we won't waste any time. We'll get this for Mike's sake because we need him for more episodes. We don't want to cook him out there, roast him like a turkey. So I just want to give a quick shout out to my friends Patrick first and his son Noah. Noah, if you're listening, I know who you are. And I did not sleep in your bed while you were gone.
Sounds
like
a threat.
Kind of a little bit. No, I'm kidding. But Patrick and his wife Whitney were so nice to put us up for the weekend in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we spent some time with them. Went to some game stores. Spent some time at this brewery called Two Toms. They had their 5th anniversary luau yesterday, so you got a ticket. You go and sample all their stuff. They had a really good. There was like a Dole Whip beer, Mike. It tastes like a Disney Dole Whip. It was dangerously delicious. I will say my only disappointment was I ordered. They have like these. They have like a special food menu of like very simple stuff. Right? There's like pulled pork barbecue nachos, the easiest thing you could make for this. I ordered this. I get mine, and mine's like on ruffle chips with like microwave cheese holding it together, which is like awful.
Strange.
Yeah. So everybody else gets theirs, and they have like regular, actual chips. And stuff. And I'm like, I must have pissed somebody off.
Did you insult the chef? What happened?
No, I even bought a hat from the place. I was like, here, I'll give you some more of my money for your merch.
Wow.
But didn't like me. But that was and then also our friend Luke and his wife were there as well. So we got to spend some good time with friends this weekend, and we don't usually leave in too often in the summer because we spent all summer working on the basement to make it somewhere you don't want to leave. So that was really nice. And it's not in the notes here, it's not really matter, but if you have a Nintendo Switch, Mike, a game for the whole anyone of any age and gaming skill came out this week called Disney's oh my gosh, what is it called? Oh my gosh, Switch game. What is it called? Oh my god, I'm blanking. I'm having a stroke over here.
Is it the
Illusion Island? Illusion Island, yeah.
It's like Mario but swapping Mickey characters.
It's
right?
Rayman, but more so than that because there's no attack. You run, you jump, you wall bounce, you go over enemies and stuff like that. Find secret paths. We played. I bought that Friday. We played some Friday night. You can do 4 players on one screen, which is really fun. You play as Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy. My wife is just in love with that, so she's been playing it. And it's only $40 for a Disney licensed game, which is really surprising. I was
Not
like,
bad.
that's really not too bad. And then I sent you a photo of this. I picked up a Funko's Disney animated board game, which the point of this game is to take a movie in there, a scene, and you have to paint the movie, place the characters, and do all the steps that has you would animate something, right? You paint the background.
Oh, yeah. I'm just realizing now, looking at the photo you sent me. Yeah, the cards are like translucent.
Yes,
It's like
there's
like
cells.
a film cell.
Yeah. So we picked that up. They have like one copy, and like this is like just now like hitting like floors, like maybe this week for places. So we picked up a copy because obviously we're a Disney household. It looks like a really fun game, and it says season 1 on the box. So like there's Alice in Wonderland, Aladdin, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Fantasia's like the movies, so there's gonna be more movies kind of as you go down.
Call me when they slap Treasure Planet on one of those things.
So you know what? Actually, Gen Con is next weekend, and we'll talk more about that next weekend. My friend Patrick and Luke, they're going, and Patrick is going to help me find Lorcana cards, which we've talked about. Some of the characters in the first Lorcana set are Treasure Planet characters.
Nice.
Like right out of the gate, I'm like, that's some deep cuts for people who like this. That'll be fun. But yeah, so anyways, I other than Secret Invasion this week, my wife is getting ready to go back to school for teaching, and we are just been traveling, so we had no time to do anything. But you, on the other hand, just looks like you were just actively trying to get out of your house at every opportunity. So tell me about the next things you got going on here.
Yeah, I watched a movie that came out last week. I watched a movie that came out this week. And then I got to see an advanced screening of a movie that comes out a week from now. So finally caught Barbie.
Yes.
From
Nice.
1 week ago. A fantastic time. Lovely movie. Really hilarious. Ryan Gosling's performance is great. Margot Robbie's awesome in it too. If I have to connect it and wing it back around to show, we have Simu Liu plays Ken, as everyone can see in the trailers.
One of the Ken dolls is also the guy who played Gravik in Secret Invasion.
Yeah, that was really weird. I forgot about that. Yeah, because I had just watched the finale of Secret Invasion. I'm like watching like Gravik just be like just an affable Ken.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I saw like a screenshot. I'm like, oh, that is the same guy. But yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And the trailers I think do a pretty good job of kind of not showing you too much. So even though I saw the movie a week late, felt like I was still experiencing and not really necessarily guessing where it was going. A lot of meta humor, some breaking of like the third wall, and it's just a really, really good time. Go check this one out for sure. Barbie. And second up, coming out this weekend, is Disney's The Haunted Mansion, which I believe is only coming out in July, it feels like. So it hits Disney Plus in October. That kind of just seems like maybe that's the strategy there. Great cast, obviously, as you can tell by the trailers and the posters. We're big fans of Lakeith Stanfield. Everyone else in the movie is great. Although I feel like I have like kind of like a love-hate relationship with Tiffany Haddish. I don't really know what it is. Maybe it's just like her brand or whatever. But I don't know. Unfortunately for me, I don't think I could recommend hitting this one up in theaters. It just doesn't feel like there's enough there for me. I was in a theater, packed theater with people that enjoyed it, laughing at the parts where they were kind of supposed to laugh, being entertained at the right points, but I was just kind of like stark-faced, just emotionless during the whole movie.
Are you a big fan of the ride?
I do like the ride, and I was able to catch a handful of like references and stuff. And I do have to say the one positive is I do like the visual effects, because they do like a fun job of trying to capture kind of like the campiness of some of the effects from the ride, but then translate it to the screen. So I do overall like that, but I don't know. I just feel like the story wasn't pulling me as much as I wish it would have. But I think this one could be fun to watch kind of once the spooky time, rolls around. You're on Disney Plus. Maybe you need something slightly more family friendly.
Yeah, it is not something I would probably, I don't have an affinity for this whatsoever. But you're right. Like watching this in the summer when like it probably would have just rolled in the money in an October release, like like a late September is really, really weird for them to kind of do early. But we'll talk about this later. We don't really movie studios don't really get to just say what weekends they want anymore. There's more thought process into it. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, so that was Haunted Mansion, and then coming next week, but was able to catch a sneak peek, which I teased last week on the podcast, of TMNT Mutant Mayhem. Comes out next week at some theaters across the country. They were doing one showing on Saturday. Was able to take my buddy Ryan, whose birthday was also this week, so it was kind of like a little unplanned birthday present for him as well.
A couple of kins just hanging out at the
Yeah,
movie
just a couple of kins watching the Turtles. And man, this movie is stellar. You gotta go see this in theaters. It's so much fun. The visual style is like so stunning. And I feel like the visuals seem to be making most of the headlines just because it's drawing a lot of at least like comparisons, at least with being bold, like, you know, the Spider-Verse movies and Mitchell's versus the Machines. And it's, I believe, the director from Mitchell's versus the Machines, if I remember. And obviously more notably produced by Point Grey, you know, Seth Rogen's production company as well. But the secret sauce to this is, once you go see it, is the cast of the Turtles are just infectious. These kids that they cast to do the voice have such great chemistry. I don't know if they put them all in a room together to record them. I know that's kind of like a production strategy of the past, and it's a little bit more isolated now, but it is great. It is wonderful. It really feels like you're just watching a bunch of like teenagers like acting a fool in New York City. It's so funny. They do really great just emotional beats that make you just like well up a little bit, but the story's action-packed and fun, and it does one of those nice things where it's like, if you had to pick the first half of the movie or the second half of the movie maybe to be the most engaging portion, they lean more into the second half of the movie. So it is kind of just like a progression of just excitement and fun and energy. So yeah, I couldn't recommend this movie anymore. It probably is, the way the landscape is looking, it's going to be hard to beat this movie for me for movie of the year. It was just such a great time, so much fun. Obviously, I was going to be talking about Turtles as much as possible on this podcast, and like weirdly enough, when you go and see it, folks, you'll see like comparisons to other superhero things, plot wise and story wise, that have been out in the marketplace recently, and I feel like they do a really good job executing that, even though it's kind of treading similar ground. And I'm surprised how hard Paramount / Nickelodeon Studios went. I'm almost positive, I didn't double check, I'm almost positive this is a PG movie, but they are really toting that line between PG and PG-13, which is really, really fun. Because you have, you know, Ice Cube that's doing the voice of Superfly. He's dropping words like hell and like nice. Die, I'm gonna kill you. Like these, like this is like they're getting really like down into it. So I really responded to that, and I was like, oh man, this is like an edgy kids movie. I'm liking this. Yeah. So a resounding recommendation for TMNT. Please go watch this next weekend. I saw that Barbie and Oppenheimer had really, really good second weekends, which is great for them. But I'm hoping people will still go see Turtles next weekend, because it would be such a shame if for some reason this does not perform. I'm glad you mentioned that. We don't have any notes here, but Oppenheimer has secured extra IMAX screenings due to its performance. So if you have missed it in IMAX, they were going to extend that, but. I have a sinking feeling TMNT is going to be kind of like the first Spider-Verse movie, where people are like, they're not thinking about it because it looks like a kids movie. So hopefully they can get over that, I guess, boundary and go see it. But I'm feeling we're gonna get original Spider-Verse, low rumblings, word of mouth, and that's going to carry it into the new into the popularity. We'll see. I'm seeing good initial reviews, so at least they'll have that under their belt. I've been begging you people, go watch it. It's great.
Awesome. All right, well, let's jump into the news. But while Mike is still the temperature is probably slowly rising after all that hot air he just was spewed. No, I'm kidding. Into the room. So we're gonna jump in.
We are approaching 80. We just hit 86 in here.
Okay.
We jumped 2 degrees of me talking about the Turtles.
That's right. All right. So let's get into this. Loki. Season 2 is coming. The next Disney Plus show was Secret Invasion just wrapping up, so Loki is next. So obviously, your marketing is going to start ramping up, right? Changing direction. Loki, a beloved show on Disney Plus by any. The newest image on Instagram shows we are 100,000 minutes away from it. Whenever this posted, I'm like, that's a really, really obscure thing to do there. But it is teasing missed minutes as well, and multiple versions of Loki, or maybe he's running around like time traveling. I don't know what it means, but it's cool to see some of the versions of Loki on here, right? I think the missed opportunity on this image is there's only like 4 versions of Loki, and the rest is him in like, his suspenders and jacket. I'm like, couldn't you like put some other characters in here then or something? Like, we know Owen Wilson's going to be in here.
Yeah, I think it's a fun promo image. I like the idea. It's striking. This is definitely better than like the generic kind of superhero poster that kind of gets pumped out of every studio, right? Of just like the stacked characters. But yeah, we do kind of. And none of them are really new. We have Loki in the TVA kind of jumpsuit, him either in a suit or without the suit jacket. You have his classic horns, and then he's got kind of like a
the bowler
like a Sherlock kind of like top hat type of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the maybe his look from the scene we saw at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It looks like an early 1900s like bowler hat and suit. But there's like a bunch of him in his suspenders running around. I'm like, well, that's fine. Tom Hiddleston's great. This doesn't offend me. But I'm like, you could have thrown a couple extra characters in there, variants, just for some fun. Maybe an alligator Loki, right? Yeah, I love a good alligator Loki. So
who doesn't?
Yeah, that's right. But 1,000 minutes. That's what an impeccable time to have this go up at the same time. I even did the math to make sure it was right, Mike. I was like, is this like in the rough ballpark? It is. It is in that ballpark. So we're about a little less than 70 days away from when this hits in October. That drops on Disney Plus. On the other side of Disney Plus, we talked a little bit about the Witch's Road special presentation that possibly is in works for Disney Plus from Marvel, kind of spinning out of Multiverse of Madness, WandaVision, and Agatha, Coven of Chaos. The rumors, or whatever, I don't know how, rumors, I guess we won't take it as fact, said that this special, The Witch's Road, will reportedly reveal what happens to the Scarlet Witch at the end of the Multiverse of Madness. Because obviously, there was a red little blip, and she doesn't die because everybody loves this character, and they're going to find ways to bring this character back as long as they can. Right, Mike?
Yeah, well, also, we do have that rumor that we talked about a few weeks ago as well, that the special presentations might be gone. They might be axed, like they might be out of the strategy. So as we've seen with Marvel through COVID and Chapek and Iger, there's different phases, right, of people being in charge, and you kind of have to wait for things to trail off that have started. So maybe there's just some in the works that have already hit the ground, and you can't undo it.
Well, I think this, this was never on the report from beforehand, but maybe they have already got, the only person involved in this it would be the hardest is Elizabeth Olsen, right? Like, getting her on board, bringing her back in for this, filming a short presentation. I think it would be fine. They also have all the cast and crew, or at least have had, for Coven of Chaos available recently. So maybe they filmed some of this, B team stuff while they were filming that to kind of double down on the work there. So if the Scarlet Witch comes back for this multiversal stuff, it doesn't bother me at the end of the day, right? Like she's a good character, she's a good actress. If they find a way to bring her back multiversal, I think it'll be okay, right? At the end of the day. So
yeah. As much as I had fun with the Multiverse of Madness, I respect the criticism that's out there for sure. But the character did not get the best final send off if that was to be their final outing, and it's definitely not going to be.
Yeah, and I think obviously with Secret Wars and King Dynasty, there are a plethora of options to bring anybody back they want to, right? Or create different versions and different stories of them to, if you will, right the wrongs. It's kind of like a cheat card, like a reverse on an Uno. Really, we're going to keep playing, but we fixed it. Go back. It's back on you guys. So we'll see if this comes to fruition or not. Marvel was not at San Diego Comic-Con last week. The best thing we would have possibly this fall is a investor presentation or announcements that we might get to confirm this. Moving on to also on the Disney Plus streaming. So we got a couple Hot Toys reveals in here, Mike, this week. And what if season 2 Iron Man's Sakaarian armor got a hot toy release, at least a visual. I think this might have been at San Diego Comic-Con. And I looked at this, and the first thing I thought of, Mike, is what is that? It's not War Greymon. It's the Greymon above that from the movie.
Oh,
like the
yeah,
color
with
scheme,
with the claws,
and the color scheme. I'm like, this is like a Digimon color, but it is essentially a Hulkbuster painted in Sakaarian colors with some more battle armor pieces on here, right?
Yeah. And also, I feel like I don't know if it's just the paint job making it kind of reveal this way, but the helmet area, it gives off more like Ultimate Universe vibes, I would say, than kind of what the MCU established for Iron Man.
It's a little wider, isn't it? Like the front of it's a little wider in that regard, but yeah.
And like those angular cuts, kind of, it feels a little bit more like a skull, and less like a helmet. That feels a little bit more Ultimates to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so so that was there. I think this was the one episode that was cut from season 1 because they weren't going to meet the release dates, and we're still waiting to see more of this. But it's a pretty cool variation on the Hulkbuster, if you will, for that. So absolutely, we'll talk more about that later. But you can check out the photo and link in our show notes. The Marvels is our next Marvel movie, I guess Disney as well, coming to theaters this November. But that may change because most studios, if not all of them, are considering release date delays amid the WGA SAG-AFTRA strikes because despite what they may think, they do need the actors to promote their movies that they're in, right? The movies are not going to promote themselves. So it seems to be all the releases will be delayed if the rightful strikes continue, and they're not able to secure actors for the promotional marketing windows that they need.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a rumor of a rumor, but I did end up seeing like a conversation happen in a very local Reddit thread. I don't remember if it was like Los Angeles or if it was like a smaller neighborhood, but there was like somebody who like works in like a Teamsters union who was just like, oh, I overheard like my bosses saying that like, oh, the studios might be coming back to the table to negotiate maybe in August, which is just a day or two away theoretically. Yep. So hopefully people get back to it. The governor out here has also started kind of like shaking a proverbial fist saying like, if you guys don't solve this, I'll come down there and try to do something. And I don't know if a governor really even has any power to do anything like that. Like there's that's the thing. Unions are incredibly strong and powerful, have lots of protections, and it doesn't matter how powerful or how much money you have. Yeah, like it's a collection of workers, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and not to dive into this again too much, but they're Brad Pitt, he shut down the movie he was working on that he's I guess producing as well because in solidarity. So like even the movies that did get some waivers, they are still not. Some actors, some people who own the companies are saying that we're not going to do it in solidarity with everybody because the idea is like they can do it. They can make these movies, but they still might sell them to streaming, which streaming is the issue. One of the main root issues at the cause of this conversation. So it's good to see that solidarity across the board. Also, another hit against the Marvels, it will not release in IMAX unless Dune 2 changes its release date because they have it locked in already for a set period of time, and that would not be out of there by the time the Marvels hit the theaters. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know what people's viewing habits are, but I mean, I only ever go out of my way for IMAX if it's something special or unique. And as much as we love superhero movies and talk about them all the time, there's few and rare, far in between superhero movies that I feel are special enough to go to an IMAX. I'm waiting for like Endgame level stuff to go out of my way to do that.
Well, I would say for some people in my situation before our current house, the closest movie theater with the best screen was the IMAX. So you did go to the IMAX all the time. Yeah. Which would suck if I had to go sit at a normal screen in that theater because they're not that they don't keep up with those.
One thing that's been driving me crazy though when it comes to IMAX though, Chris, and I love it because at least the release of Oppenheimer in 70mm has brought this conversation back up to the zeitgeist. Is like I feel like there needs to be like some sort of like class action lawsuit brought against just IMAX or theaters in general, because like they have stretched the definition of what IMAX is so much, just like how like my Verizon plan plays really fast and loose with the word unlimited, right? Because the only real true IMAX is if you are, I believe, projecting it through that 70mm film, right? If it's not being advertised as 70mm, it's not true IMAX. It's just a brand, you know.
Well, that's not true. IMAX is the frame size, so it has to be at least 10 times larger than 35mm on screen. Because digital IMAX is still IMAX, if that makes sense. It doesn't have to be an actual film IMAX. There's digital IMAX, which is true. It's the frame size. It has to be IMAX. So I get it. Our old school.
It just doesn't feel. It feels disingenuous, right?
I disagree. They just haven't really, like, whenever we all switched to digital projectors, IMAX came with it. We all just are still thinking of physical IMAX, and the problem. It's not really a problem. Christopher Nolan is an instigator of this. Sure, shoot on your film, show the film. We just can't go watch it anywhere. There's like 10 theaters in the country that have these things. So I appreciate film. I appreciate the film stock and everything they do. But, you know, if you're going to, I guess maybe let's make a compromise. Standardize your digital IMAX screens. How about that? Like, instead of just
honestly,
saying...
Because that's what it is. It's the screen. I don't really care if it's film or digital. Yeah. I mean that fight is going to be won on its own eventually with time. Yeah. But like it's the size of it for sure. Yeah. Like when I buy an IMAX ticket, when I walk into that theater, I want the big white screen that hasn't started projecting like the pre-roll before the movie plays. Right. I want that to be imposing. I want it to feel like it could just fall on top of me and I would die underneath it, right? But like I'll just walk in, I'll be like, oh, this is just like a normal movie theater. There's just like a couple like feet on the top and bottom of it now. This is not IMAX to me.
And that really I think comes down to the theaters. Like we've talked about this before. Movie theaters aren't getting funding to update themselves or improve themselves, right? You know, the only biggest thing was I believe James Cameron, or was it the Hobbit movies? They got those special 48 frames per second projectors in some of the theaters, so they need to update those and do it. But you know, as long as they standardize what an IMAX screen is and understand that, I think that's it, because it's just the frame size. It's I think 10 times bigger when it projects, or it can be up to 10 times bigger when it projects. But like they're just putting it in a regular screen. That's why I don't care to go to what's Cinemark's what's their special screens called? They're not IMAX. They're just
is
large.
It like X something? Is there an X in there? Maybe.
Yeah, there's some sort of X, but yeah, like, you know what I'm talking about. Though. Like they have just large screens, but they're not IMAX, right? And the IMAX are starting to look small compared to these newer screens. So absolutely. But you know, But to the point, back to here, the Marvels. Do I have to see this in IMAX to really get everything out of this movie? Probably not. Like, I think it'll be fine to watch it either way. And what's cool is that one of the coolest things about Disney Plus, if you want to watch the IMAX version, guess what? It's on Disney Plus when it comes to Disney Plus. Like, you don't have to go out of your way and buy a special edition or pay extra. You can stream the IMAX version of every Marvel movie that has one on Disney Plus. So, really, really cool. Dune Part 2 is locked in the screens for 5 to 6 weeks for IMAX. However, they said, I think it was Warner Brothers giving till the end of August to determine if they're going to push any of these movies, because the strikes again. They can't get the marketing kicks off in September, October.
Hey, that kind of aligns with that with that rumor, right, of August kind of maybe being a date where this gets figured out.
Exactly. So, you know, this might be a situation where they have to come to the table, or otherwise they got to push movies. And what happens when you push movies, Mike? Your investors probably get pretty upset with you because you didn't go back to didn't meet some agreements. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. I'm crossing my fingers we don't have any more delays, Mike. But we've got some more. Probably not upsetting delays coming up down the road, so we'll talk about this here in a minute. Switching over to Spider-Man 2, the special PlayStation 5s, this PlayStation Spider-Man 2 themed dropped on Friday, by the way, in case anyone doesn't have one. I was able to order me a controller, but not the plates. They sold out quick. But Hot Toys has released a black suit Spider-Man, Peter Parker, from the upcoming Spider-Man 2 game.
Chris, not to cut you off, but speaking of a hot toy, we got to do a temperature check.
Okay.
We're about halfway through the show now.
I hear sirens.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's heat stroke. That's what it is. We are approaching 76 here. So
no, wait.
What did I say last time? Did I say 85?
86.
What did I say? 86. I told you, man. This is the stroke coming through here. 86. All right, maybe we've reached our peak. Hopefully.
86. Okay. We'll check again here in a minute. But things that
hot
are
toys.
hot toys to look at. The Peter Parker Black Suit Collector's Edition, and I put the link in it so you can look at that. But man, does this look awesome.
Hot Toys has this good problem where their figures are so good and their photography of them is so amazing that this just looks like 3D renders from the game. Like that's how good this looks.
Yeah, so you get to see, it's almost a 12-inch tall figure. It comes with all 4 mechanical arms covered in black goo strands behind them, which they've made this goo look absolutely, almost liquid on it. It looks fantastic with the sheen. It comes with a base and different hands. He's got the web wings, Mike. And if you get the special edition from them, you can get his red mask being enveloped by the black suit.
Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. Remind me.
I will. Go on.
Does Peter don these legs in like the first game at all?
Not in the first one. You can get the suit. One of the suits you get is the
I remember that. But it's not related to the story in any way. It's not like Doc Ock adjacent. It's just like a bonus suit.
This appears to be a post the first one. He has adopted the Octavius arms to help him.
It seems like this is going to be a story point, not just a variant suit of like Peter's probably going to go down a dark path, and what's the last kind of like dark memory he has in his brain is like his BFF Doc Ock going down the crazy train.
Some of the early artwork released for Spider-Man 2 shows him with like the red arms, so they're more Spider-Man themed rather than these. And I believe if you look closely, they have blue energy spikes sticking out of these points as well on his arms. So
this is really, maybe this is like a boss. Maybe you are Miles and you have to fight this version of Peter.
It could be, or maybe you're Mary Jane and it's a stealth level, Mike, and you have to sneak away from him.
No, we've banned those as a community.
But absolutely, guys, check on the link. It's $305, which actually isn't as bad as I thought this would be.
For a hot toy, usually like I feel like this could go for like $600.
Yeah, especially when it's Spider-Man and Venom on like the same one. I'm like, this is like I have to have kind of thing.
I got the website open, so now I have to see what my dead Doctor Strange is going for. It's still at pre-order. Man, this is still taking a while to come out. So sitting at $385. So Doctor Strange is a little bit more expensive.
Yes. And then if you guys get it, click on the special edition, check out the red mask being enveloped by the goo. So check out that link in our show notes. You're gonna love it. The other thing with Spider-Man 2, they've confirmed that Venom's primary goal in the game is to kill Miles and Peter. So like he doesn't want to be friends. That's pretty good. And they're rumored. Insomniac is rumored to be developing a spin-off game around Venom from this. Which
this is going to be great. We're getting a Wolverine game from them too. Man, this is going to be sick.
So I'm pretty sure if this is true, and hopefully it is, it's kind of going to probably be like a Miles game, right? Like not quite a full game, but like still Venom and like maybe a Lethal Protector storyline in the city, and you get like maybe it's an R-rated or what is it, Peggy 18 or whatever they rate video games, and you get to like probably be a little more brutal with some of the characters.
That would be rad, man. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So check that. We'll report back. Speaking of Spider-Man and Sony and all the fun stuff they do, Venom 3 has been pushed, or now has a new release. It was not pushed. It has a release date finally, Mike, of July 12th, 2024. So next year we will be getting Venom 3 in the summer. I think this still has an opportunity to change at this rate if they're not filming, or if they didn't get all the filming done before the strikes. So We will update our upcoming movie and TV release guide with all these dates. So stay tuned and check out that link on our site. But yeah, anything about that and Venom? I mean, the good parts are next, but I figured
for the next couple weeks, whenever anything's delayed, I'm just going to tell people to use that as an opportunity to go watch a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie of any kind. Right. Really, it could be old, classic. They're Michael Bay executive produced.
They're coming to Paramount Plus, right? Or anything Nickelodeon owns, they're going to pretty much. So yeah, you can check out those as well. With that, but yes, Venom 3 released in July next year. Tentatively, cross your fingers. Kraven, delayed a whole year almost, from October 6th to August 24th of next year, Mike. 11 full months.
Man, that's quite the push.
My guess is they're not refilming anything either. So this is a case of they have to. They're not going to get their promotion with their actors right for Kraven by October 6th. So they have looked at every date they could find that they didn't want to give to Venom and picked the only one that was open for them to choose, that they would not have as much competition. So we are going all the way back to late summer for next year. That means within like 2 months we're going to have Venom 3 and Kraven, Mike. So do you think,
I mean that's it feels like maybe one has to come out before the other. It seems to be heavily implied. August is a weird month in the summer where I feel like historically that's where I've seen like Mission Impossible movies, right? Even though the most recent one has come out in the month of July, right? Yeah. It just seems like end of the summer in August is kind of like those kind of like last chance summer blockbusters. So
the problem with Kraven, it can't be a blockbuster. It's rated R, right? So you've wiped out your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle audience in one go. But no, I'm kidding. But like this, since it's rated R, they're probably counting on maybe people who have just gone back to college. Maybe like you've been in college for like a week by that point, maybe, or a couple weeks settled. So like maybe like you're back in college or you're getting ready to go to college. You're gonna watch your R-rated movie. Get it out of your system. So maybe that's what they're thinking with this one.
Yeah, it is funny because I saw like a headline, a big splashy like entertainment website headline of like Sony pushes back all of its, or not just Sony, but just Hollywood pushes back like release dates. And then their kind of featured image was a picture of Kraven on the throne. And I'm just like, man, a lot of people are learning about what Kraven is right now because we kind of go out of our way to watch the Kraven trailer, right? Yeah. I can't imagine just the casual moviegoer has any idea why and who's the actor again that's playing Kraven? I can't think of his name.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. They're just like, why does Aaron Taylor Johnson look like a Bushman on this article?
he does. So I was talking with Patrick about it this weekend, and hopefully he's listening because he mentioned that the blood from the line in this is a lot like was it 28 Days Later, where Brendan Gleeson's character looks up and the blood falls in his eye from a corpse, and that's what makes him go mad, right? From like a zombie. Like and that one's probably it's a little campy, a little scary, but like this looks just so bad. Like it just looks so bad. But Kraven delayed a whole 11 months till next year. So yeah. But that means that we're actually gonna get 3 Spider-Man spin-off movies next year with Madam Web, Mike. It has moved up 2 days to February 14th, 2024.
Oof.
So
can you imagine too if Spider-Verse Part 3 is to hit at least some release date in 2024, which I don't think is going to happen personally.
Just buckle up. We're not even there yet, my friend. So
man, yeah, that's gonna be a big Spider year.
We have Madam Web. We know very little about. We just know the actresses in it. We've not got a trailer. Nothing at all about this. So we need to get some more about this. But knowing it is supposed to be like when Peter's like a baby or something, and like what's his name from Severance's Uncle Ben in it supposedly. What's his name? Chris? Is it Chris? No, Adam.
No,
something.
Adam. We're close. Adam Scott. Yeah.
I was like, so he's supposed to be Uncle Ben. Like it's like I don't know, some weird Spider Woman universe. That's fine, whatever. If it's good, we'll tell you it's good. We won't, we're not gonna. We actually will judge it before it comes out. But yeah, we'll if it's good, we'll eat our crow. But between that, Kraven, and Venom 3, like boy, are my hype levels just really low for Sony next year and Spider-Man as a whole. However, we have hope that Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming in March of next year. However, It is now TBD on the release schedule, Mike. They have just removed that March release date. And let me tell you, this is not due to the strikes. This is due to them not filming anything yet. They've not even recorded anything for this.
They gotta make the damn movie too.
Yeah, so
still.
That is going to be something we'll keep our eyes on pretty closely, but that is not a result of the strike. The other ones, probably, but we'll see as we get closer. But boy, that's like two like kicks in the gut, and then like a one okay thing, right? I guess so. I don't know. Like, it's really weird news for Sony for next year.
All right, hold on. We got to do Zodiac 2024 year of the what? The dragon. I was like, maybe it's year of the spider. Like, is a spider even a part of the Zodiac? I'm not sure.
Zodiac.
All right,
animals.
We got
Okay.
I'm looking at the animals now. I don't see anything close. No. The closest thing to an insect would be a snake. Yeah. Everything else is very mammalian on here.
Yeah. Except for that rooster. That's weird. But anyway,
year of the spider, everybody.
Yes. So we'll switch. We'll switch into Star Wars for a brief second. No real Star Wars news except Lando, the show that everyone was like, "Are we still doing this?" You announced it in like 2019. Donald Glover and his brother Steven, I assume last name Glover, are now writing the series for Disney Plus. So they are taking over writing duties for this show.
Yeah, that's a switch up. I was just reading an article, an interview from the original writer who was the director of the Haunted Mansion that just came out.
He was the showrunner technically. So I don't know. He probably won't be showrunning then if he.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because this interview was published like just last week, just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And they straight up asked him, like, "Are you still doing that Lando series?" It's like, as far as I know, I'm still attached, but I haven't heard anything. And then he kind of like did a wink, wink, nudge, nudge of like, I can read between the lines.
Yeah.
And I kind of know what that means, so he kind of saw that coming.
If you go check out his social, I forget his name. He said that he also he found out on literally social media that he was quote unquote fired from this. However,
that is so. Can you imagine just anybody in their normal jobs, right, out in the world? You just go on Twitter one day and like find out you're like fired from your
you can't say Twitter
your HR
anymore.
management position.
You can't say Twitter anymore.
Sorry, from X. Oh man, that icon changed on my phone, and I like wanted to like throw my phone across.
I deleted it several months ago, and I've never been happier. So it's doing me. But anyway, so I don't think it's ill will for Donald Glover / Stephen Glover against the writer. It's just poor management right now, right? Like, the writers are on strike. Do they even have anyone to let know if they're changing it now? Donald Glover shouldn't be signing anything saying he's going to write the show during a strike. That's not a good thing. But I don't know when this was taken over, right? News breaks, not necessarily at the moment the ink dries. It happens anytime in that process. So,
yeah, I believe you're allowed to at least. I mean, I don't know all the finer details, but you're kind of allowed to take meetings and make deals, right, during a strike. But you're not allowed to produce any work.
But I guess the thing would be if you take those deals and they're lobbying on the strike for pay, benefits, all this other stuff. Is that not helping the strike's cause? Then it would be my question.
I don't know. I mean, it could be in a situation like this, is when you're kind of like this big mega hit creator, right? Yeah. The deal was always going to surpass the minimums, and that's what you're doing when you're out there fighting on the picket line. Is you're fighting for those minimum values, kind of like that floor, that livable floor. So I guess you're kind of passing that. That was never on the table to begin with.
It could be maybe he signed that we will do this, but only once the strike is over and you meet those, the guild rules. Right? Maybe it's like, yes, we will agree to work on this as soon as we get approval from the writing guild. Right? It could maybe no money, nothing was agreed upon yet. It's like they're reserving Donald Glover. Hey, we put a down payment on Donald Glover in writing, so we'll figure this out later. But it'll be fine. That's good news for Lando, right? I think no one kind of really knew where it was, what was going on, so we'll get some. This is Mike's timeline between episodes 3 and 4 for you. Some content in there. All right, so we're gonna drop into Secret Invasion, the full season 1 series review.
I forgot we still had to do this, and I was like, this seems like really a short episode.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to speed through this for you, Mike, so we can get your heat out. We can do this, cover it for the rest of the episode here. So if you've not seen it, you can go watch it on Disney Plus. 6 episodes. I took a binge model approach to this, Mike. I did episodes 1, 2, then I did 3 and 4, then 5 and 6 in different bundles. You were a little more weekly on this, right?
Yeah, but slightly more scattered. I was able to kind of watch the last 2 within 2 days of each other. So, like most people, we all watched it within 6 weeks, right?
Yeah, we've caught it here by the end, so that's fine. And to me, I think we before we get into this, we talked about Echo dropping all at once. I kind of wouldn't mind a binge model every once in a while on these. They're very short. Some of these episodes felt really short, and some felt really long in Secret Invasion.
Oh, if you check the runtime, if you open up kind of like the Disney splash page for this show, they progressively get shorter. The episodes start, I think, around the 50-minute mark, and they progressively get shorter and shorter and shorter. I think the finale is like 36, 34 minutes, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, man, these just keep feeling like that. The time was all over the place with this, but absolutely. So for those who may not know and are still listening, you should go watch it. Secret Invasion tells the story. Nick Fury has come back to Earth from his space station, which we don't even see in this show, Mike. God damn it. What a disappointing thing. To take care of some Skrulls that he had been working with since the end of Captain Marvel. The ones they could not find a home, they came back to Earth. He has given them a job being spies while he promised to find them a new planet. One of them has grown up to resent him for not finding a new planet, and Nick has to stop him along the way. So I think there are, again, we're in full spoiler territory. I'm going to say it one more time. We're in spoiler territory. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, come back. I don't care. I don't care, Mike. You know me. I'm an optimist. I try to look on the bright side of this stuff. But after watching this, I just don't care.
Oh, Chris, I'm so relieved. I wasn't sure if this was going to be. I'm not relieved that the show ended up not being what we wanted, right? But I'm glad this is not going to be the confrontational talk, because that is true. That's kind of the archetype that both of us have taken on this show. Is you are ready to go to bat and be the booster, for anything and all things Marvel. I have a pessimistic side with a lot of this entertainment, at least as of recently. So I'm glad that we're kind of overlapping once again.
There is literally there's only one thing in this whole thing that's changed the MCU, and that is the creation of Gaia as a Super Skrull. The most powerful Super Skrull, right? She literally has the abilities of every Avenger in here, and that's cool. Emilia Clarke's a great actress. I think she's a good add to the MCU. Yeah. But until she comes to the actual movies, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, and let's take a moment and just zone in on that right now. Just the Super Skrull, Emilia Clarke, maybe even that final battle. Because to me, that's the only worthwhile thing in this entire series. I saw some people out there nitpicking about the special effects towards the end, and so those people go get on your $4,000 gaming PCs and just crank the newest Diablo to all the settings and get your enjoyment. We reach the point where if you're a big studio, the special effects are going to be good enough, right? So just don't let that bog you down, because that's almost more. That's almost more just production pipeline, just budget, the creative. That's not up to the creative. Every creative who makes these shows or movies would love it to be astounding. But I had that's the only time I had fun is just watching these Super Skrulls punch each other.
Well, I would say, to me, in this situation, the last episode is the best episode of this, because it delivers on spy thriller, twists and turns. Right? Literally, you think it's Nick Fury. It's a guy dressed as Nick Fury. And then, he's in the hospital with, what's her name? Fallsworth, trying to get the president to show that Rhodey's a Skrull. I think the last episode had all the good stuff in it, right? The whole show had been like this. It would have been fantastic. But no, it's really the last episode. But the Super Skrulls, I thought, were really fun. Despite it being a very short battle, it was very CGI heavy. You got to see the characters, right, come alive. There was that one where it still looks weird because her arm looks like a little chicken arm, where she does the Drax arm.
Oh yeah.
I'm like her hand looks like a little chicken hand. It's kind of weird.
And it was a little strange because I was just I don't think Drax is the arm you kind of want to flex in this battle. I mean, Drax is strong for sure, but if you've got a Hulk arm in you somewhere, maybe just use that one. I mean, if we want to get really like comic book shop, like nerd talk here, I don't personally think a Super Skrull inherits 100% of all the power. I don't believe this is like a math equation where you take the Hulk's power, you add in all of these other powers, and then you create like a new sum. Because I saw a lot of people running with this idea that Amelia Clark is now the single most powerful thing in the MCU. I don't think that at all. I think they just have like portions of it, and it's not really a fully part of their DNA. So I think they are very strong and formidable, but I don't think they're the single most powerful creature out there.
An example would be, I think, we'll use Captain Marvel, right? They use Captain Marvel. They name drop her several times. Well, she is essentially running on a full body of cosmic cube power. I mean, like, they're just emulating that, right? So, like, you're not, like you mentioned, they're not getting the full thing. They're running
this is a Super Nintendo emulator.
Yeah.
No, I would say no. It's more like a PlayStation 3 emulator, right? A slightly more modern console, but like you can't quite configure the processor just right, so you still got some hiccups when you're trying to play the game, right?
Yeah, it's not quite there, and they literally, she has cells energy, and she'll run out of power, right? Eventually, at the end of this, but. I think the Super Skrull, I think this version of a Super Skrull is way more interesting than the comic book version that only has the Fantastic Four powers, right? I think the ability for her to kind of pull those, the way they kind of did different arms and different parts of their body as different characters was interesting in the final fight overall. But getting to this point was really a letdown, a drag through the mud, if you will. And what we hoped was a spy thriller thing, where they're doing, my wife, we had a conversation at the end of this. I'm like, I really expected more Mission Impossible. Everyone's taken off a mask, throughout this whole show. Why did the Skrulls always go back to their default human form every time?
Because to me it's just like budget, and it drives me crazy, because I always go back to when all of these things were first announced. We were essentially promised from Feige that, like, do not worry, these are gonna be a premium quality shows. This is basically gonna be you're gonna be having you're gonna be watching a movie every single week. It's gonna be crazy. And the budget for this show was very, very hefty until I saw reports that like they did like 3 months of reshoots, which is a lot for a TV show. You could pretty much make a brand new TV show again out of that.
And you feel it because no one is ever in the same room as each other for most of this.
I saw a great theory that, like, and I didn't pick up on it until somebody brought it up, but you'll be watching the show and then there'll be scenes where weirdly, like, Samuel L. Jackson just makes a decision like, oh, I'm going to do this whole scene sitting down, when like the energy of the scene does not really entail like the main character sitting in any way. So I like the theory that possibly whenever you see Fury sitting down, it's like a reshoot scene, and like he was just getting fed up with this.
Right. Well, he probably did not get into Fury shape for the reshoots, right? Like, you sit him down, you can hide, Samuel L. Jackson's a great actor, but he's an old man. At this point, he is an old man. So, like, you're not going to get, young actor out of him. But I will say, the de-aging was fine in this. Like, when they did the flashbacks, that was fine.
Yeah.
It was really weird to see him kiss somebody. I don't like that. Especially when she's a human or Skrull. I don't like it. It's weird.
I mean, I do have to say that was weirdly enough the most comic booky thing that I've seen, because of course, there's like a Marvel illustrator out there that's just like, hell yeah, I want to draw Nick Fury making out with an alien. I've been wanting to do that my whole life.
There's some sort of Rule 34 for this out there. Is my I was thinking that, but you
did bring up performances though with Sam Jackson. I do have to say Sam Jackson, Olivia Colman, and then the woman that plays his wife. I have it up here. Something Charlene.
So Charlene Woodward. She played his mom in the Glass movie. Where he was in the wheelchair, they make-upped her up to look like she was his mom, like she was older. So anyway, sorry, I just want to point that because it was a really weird connection I made when I was looking through that stuff. But
yeah, I suppose if you knew that, you're just like, why is he kissing his mom, who's also an alien? What's happening?
Anyway,
here?
but yeah, go actors.
But occasionally there were a really good performance. performances and tidbits that I liked. I did enjoy like Sam Jackson just sitting down with his wife, and they're just like talking about like, well, what are we gonna do now? Are we still in love? Would you love me if I was an alien the whole time? Like I like these kind of like existential questions that they barely ever gave time to explore, which is what you're supposed to be doing in a TV series. And anytime Olivia Colman is on the screen, she commands it. It's great. I love her character, so at least maybe we got something positive new out of this series that she seems to be continuing on within the MCU.
She is playing again, the British version of Fury is what she is, right? Like, she is playing that to a T. Like, she's like, you know, my secrets have secrets as well, kind of thing. Like, you know, she was really, really good. I think that scene you mentioned where Fury and his wife are at the table and they're like, who's going to shoot who, right, at the table. That was like one of the most like tense moments of the show, which needed tense moments. There was no other tense moments. Like, I would have been cooler if you're like, can Skrulls detect each other, right? The answer is obviously no after some of these scenes. Hopefully no. So like, why isn't are you a Skrull? Like, everyone should be on edge this whole fucking series, like, of who's a Skrull, who's real, because that was the question posed on at least by episode 2. There's a million Skrulls out there. Well, anyone could be a Skrull. You should be on your toes a little more often and be really tense. I expected like The Wire with aliens out of this, and we didn't really get any of that.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. The only real big question was just like, oh, who's the Skrull? And it was really just Rhodey. And ultimately, all of these characters were fine and were rescued at the very end. So, like, the intensity of finding it out wasn't that big of a deal, ultimately. And, like, I think that the single biggest flaw in this show, other than it just being boring, is just that, like, what does Fury ultimately accomplish, right? He comes down from his space station at the beginning of the show saying, like, I gotta mop up my problems. And at the end of the show, there's just more problems. Like, he didn't fix anything, and that's not like a theme. That's not like what was they said, like, Rian Johnson's Star Wars movie. You know, the theme was like failure and not accomplishing anything. But at least you could kind of like sniff out that theme. That is not a theme in this show. That's just like they didn't write a good ending for Fury, and they're trying to like back into that.
I wouldn't even say they didn't write a good ending. They were told he's here and it has to end up here. So what do? You give him a beam of light, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He comes down in it and he goes up in it, right? So where's the spaceship he's working in? His goal now is to get the Skrulls off of Earth, and we did see them working on that ship. But like one of the things was like he's talking to the president and of the show, and he's like, you had a hate, we were cool until you had a hate-filled speech, and I'm like, you guys were just buddies like 2 minutes ago, so like this is moving way too quick. But he's like, oh, that's a speech for a one-term president, because we know, what do we know, Mike? Next year, Harrison Ford is becoming president of the MCU. So this guy doesn't even matter. Like, literally,
I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
So like this guy, is it Dylan McDermott or something like that? I forget whatever the actor's name is. He literally is just here for a couple episodes in the show, very briefly, and kind of moves on. So we could beat this dead horse, and we can probably go on forever if we wanted to. But like, I think at the end of the day, there's some cool stuff at the end, but from A to B, if this is they put Fury on Earth. He went back. He has they got rid of Talos, who's a great actor, by the way. What's his name? Ben Mendelsohn. He's a great actor. All the Skrulls were in human forms for 99% of this, when they should have been. There was no real tense moments other than like 3, and we end up with a super Skrull on Earth at the end of this who works with the British government. So what do we do here? What's going on here? What secret invasion happened here? Did one even happen? I don't think so.
Yeah, no. And the thing that drives me really crazy is the director of this series is out there responding to the poor critical reception. It's not just us, Chris. This isn't like a She-Hulk situation where there's a very specific type of fan out there that's waging war against like a female-led TV show. This is just people responding outing saying like, hey, we didn't like this, and you had everything going for you, right? Fury is like one of the most iconic MCU characters that you have. Everyone's always talking about how Sam Jackson is like the connecting thread that makes Marvel all the money, right? You know, they always do those like graphs of like all the movies he's been in and all the money that they've generated, right? Yeah. So they had everything going for them, and it just didn't work out. And the director's out here saying like, oh, I think Marvel fans are they just expect too much and there's no way to please them. It's just like, come on, don't be dense.
I would say two things. One, for him, shut up. Two, like, you know, obviously we know more about this than the average person would. We know there were reshoots. We know that probably all of these shows had their budget slashed in half, if not more, as they saw they were not making money on these, right? Like over time. So, you know, there are steps like from you mentioned, you know, Kevin Feige's like, we're gonna make these shows gonna be like a movie in your home every week. Well, okay, we found out these shows aren't making us money. We're not getting subscriptions. We're gonna cut your budgets. We're gonna retool your show. We don't like it. All this other apps. I don't blame the director at the end of the day, right? Like if he just shut up for a little bit, didn't say anything. Like, it's not your fault, man. We know there were recuts. This is maybe not the vision you wanted that you started with on paper. But this is what you had to put out because the homework was due at the end of the summer. So if you just don't run your mouth, we probably give you more credit at the end of the day, because I don't think this feels like a corporate hand on this. Does it not feel like a corporate hand is like driving the decisions here?
And I feel like we brought this up maybe about a year ago, where there was some like insider rumors floating around where there were like executives like kicking down the door trying to retool the show.
Yeah,
so
in the room with the writers.
Exactly. So and that's the one thing that you probably can expect from at least hardcore Marvel fans. Yeah, they are a little bit more in tuned, I would say, with the production of Hollywood, for better or for worse. And most of the time, the director, especially within TV, it's just like, we'll give you a pass. We understand that this isn't going your way, but don't. If the show turned out bad, don't blame the audience. Don't gaslight us.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think if you like this show, more power to you. I don't think if you found enjoyment in this and that's your thing, cool, awesome. You know, you're maybe you're highlighted on the Super Skrull fight at the end, or maybe something else cool. But really, this and most of the other recent Marvel shows have gone to prove they do nothing for the bigger universe. Now we were worried. One of our complaints when they announced all these shows, like, we have to watch everything to keep up with it. Well, apparently not. You can just skip this whole thing and not know what the hell's going on by the next movie and be like, oh yeah, the Skrull got all the powers of the Avengers. That's all you have to know at the end of this one. She's a Super Skrull. She can morph into people and has their abilities. That's really cool. Nick Fury might have been there. We don't know. We don't care. So really, we're on a double-edged sword here, Mike. Like, do we want the shows to matter to the MCU at large, or do we want them to be inconsequential and you don't have to watch them?
I want them to be entertaining.
Well,
that is like the hardest thing to get recently, man.
Right, exactly. The consequential of this means nothing if the show isn't good enough to watch. So like Loki really didn't do anything, right? He's like in his own multiverse doing his own thing. It just explained the multiverse and introduced us to Jonathan Majors, who went on to be Kang, but they could have literally picked anybody else for Kang and just been like, oh, he's a variant of that dude you saw in Loki. And it wouldn't have mattered. But like Loki was really good.
And ultimately, it was a fun journey along the way, too. We got to see Loki try to slip in and out and escape. And then
he tried to make out with himself.
Yeah, exactly. We had variations of Loki pop up, so there's new characters being added with Loki horns, which is fun, because Sylvie, right? That was her name?
Yeah, Sylvie. Like, right? It had really good actors. And not this one that had good actors, but like they were like really leaning into the sci-fi mystery, right? And this one really should have been a political intrigue / mystery, like, or maybe akin to a Mission Impossible movie.
And make me care about the Skrulls. Like, I mean,
where are they? At the end, they weren't in Skrullos, right? Like they're like, we're gonna bomb it, and she walked through the entire town. Not a single Skrull is there. So where did they go?
It's just
exactly. Boom, got them. They don't got nothing on us. Your show sucks.
Yeah, it's just.
It
Chris,
sucked, but it's fine.
I'm glad we aligned because the temperatures in this room are rising too much to combat you.
Yeah.
So at least I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping the last MCU show I really, really, really liked was Loki. I mean, I had fun with She-Hulk, but Loki was the last time I felt I was in a premium landscape. So I'm hoping season 2 brings me back there.
Miss Marvel was for me, so I'm excited for her adventures in the Marvels. There are good ones, there are good moments, but this needs to be. I know they're cutting budgets, they're reducing these things, so maybe a tighter focus on these in the future will be a strength for them, right? Maybe less than, hey, we need to put 12 out a year. Hey, we're doing 2 a year. Let's make them really, really good. We'll help them hone these in going forward. So, but we got Loki season 2 and Echo this year. Still not heard. No, that was something else. That was Star Wars. I was like, when do we get Skeleton Crew? But that's Star Wars. We'll ignore that for another time. But yes, Mike, you are heating up. So let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Unless you have something else you want to say.
No, all I have to say, final temperature check.
Yes.
We're gonna do 2 zones. We'll check the wall that I have been checking, and we're pretty consistent with the 86 where we've been at. But let's do a fun thing of let's find the hottest temperature I can record.
Oh, it's you, buddy. It's you. You're so hot right now.
It is going to be on the ceiling for sure, because we all know heat likes to rise, and we are topping 90 degrees, folks.
90.
If I was on a step stool right now, my head would be on fire.
Nice.
So I'm glad everyone stayed with us. I hope my suffering was a little entertaining for everybody. But you can follow me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Yes, X, I suppose.
Oh my gosh.
Mike Royer Design. You
Boy,
can
they just
read
ruined
my
us.
you could read my webcomic at liferewardsrisk.com. I should probably put that thing on Threads, because who knows if anybody's going to be on the Xbird platform anymore. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, or any little video game system with Valdan, VALDAN, or Valdan87. I'll be on any of those. If people want to know more about what they can do for the show and where they can find us, tell us about that.
Oh, yes. This is where I insert the short and sweet ending, where I just tell people to visit superheroslate.com. That is the headquarters for all things Superhero Slate, superheroslate.com. We love our super fans, and if you want to be a super fan, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks, hopefully next week with air conditioning.
That's right. Mike, you keep it cool, wink, wink, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.